Excellent. Cool. Well, we'll kick off today then. Fantastic. So today's webinar is Inside a Seller's Mind and all about what clients want from their next agent. Street recently conducted a survey of 1,000 UK home movers to find out all about their past moving experience and what they would prefer from their experience next time. It pulled some incredibly interesting insights about what prospective clients want from the next agents. And we're going to be revealing some of those statistics with you today and talking through them and discussing ways in which you can stand out from your competitors on valuations by offering the type of service that they want from their next agent and hopefully trying to make winning instructions a lot easier for you. Now, we're going to be doing something slightly different with today's webinar. We're going to try and make it a bit of a fun webinar, a bit interactive. So there are going to be some questions that are going to pop up on the slides today. And with each question, there will be a poll for you all to have a go at answering what you think might have been the response that we got back from the surveys. So with that in mind, then, let's get started and we'll jump through to one of the first questions that we asked on our survey. So the first question we gave them was, how stressful or stress-free did you find your past moving experience? Now, you should all find a poll that pops up on the screen very shortly. Here we go. Hopefully you can all see that. We'll give you some time to all have a stab at what you think was rated the most popular answer from our 1,000 UK home movers. We'll give it a couple of seconds for everyone to have a stab at answering that. It looks like the most popular answer we have is 81% rated their experience as stressful so far, very closely followed by 73%. So on that then, let's move to the answers. So the actual answer was 81.2% of people found moving stressful overall. Now, if we dig into that stat a little more, 35 to 44-year-olds find moving the most stressful, with 32.1% reporting that it's a very stressful experience and 82.9% finding it very stressful in any way, shape or form, which is higher than the average that we've got there above on the screen. When we look at the demographic of 55 plus, they were much more likely to find it stress-free, with 12.5% of the demographic finding it a stress-free experience, which is 71% higher than the average. Why we think that is, maybe with the older demographic, majority of those could fall into the retired bracket, meaning that they've got more time to deal with the sales process itself, more time to take calls, to have the house tidy for viewings, valuations, not having to juggle around childcare, for example. And also that they've probably been through the process several times before. So they're either used to it or, it's just become kind of the norm for that demographic there. So really interesting stat there. Very high stat as well. At 81.2% people found moving stressful. Not great, but hopefully we can look to change that over the time to come. So we'll flick over to question number 2. What, if anything, were your main frustrations when buying or selling a property? And again, you should have a poll that pops up on the screen for us just there. Here we go. So I'll give you all some time to answer that one. Looks like we've got the majority of people here suggesting that lack of updates from the agent is the most popular answer so far. Do we all find that currently? Do you hear that a lot from people that you speak to in your day-to-day? Do you find that when you're on valuations or past experiences, people want, it's the lack of updates that they've experienced from previous agents? Don't forget, you can flick back to the chat box as well from the polls. We'll flick over to the answer while hopefully people can answer that for me. So, top 3 frustrations then were paperwork, lack of updates, which the majority of you answered, and dealing with third parties. And then very close fourth was arranging viewings for their property as well that people found stressful. a total of 96.2% of people selected an answer for that question, meaning that less than 4% didn't have any complaints about the entire moving process. Top 3 frustrations, obviously, that are on screen: lack of updates, dealing with third parties, arranging viewings, and paperwork. Now, how can we help improve those areas for agents? So working with Street, our CRM, we've tried to tackle lots of those different elements of that process. Tackling lack of updates with Street, we are able to automate communication on a range of activities, such as viewings, valuations, confirmation of appointments, offers. So nothing ever gets forgotten, and everyone is always informed at kind of every step of the way. However, we have also thought about what agents want automated and what agents don't want automated as well. So there's a lot of flexibility that can be given to you as the agent in terms of automating communication when it comes to updates, paperwork, and things like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a bit of a screen share and jump into Street. And we're going to take a look at a couple of elements. So the first thing we're going to look at is arranging viewings, which is going to take a look at Street's online booking engine. So if I just share my screen now, bear with me, we're going to look at booking a viewing within Street. So hopefully you can all see my screen now. So what we can do for each particular property within Street is we can turn on what's called online booking. This means it gives your clients the ability to book viewings 24/7. They don't have to conform to the constraints of 9 to 5:30 or 6 o'clock when your agency is open. It allows people to fill up your diary as an estate agent at 10 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night, or whenever they finish their work shift, or whenever's convenient for them. Now, from an agent's perspective, you might find that a bit scary, but within Street, we built some things to be able to make that as a really simple process for you so that you're not having to worry about what's getting booked in. So what we're going to start with is looking at the online booking preferences. So we don't just say that anyone can book a viewing or request a viewing in your diaries at 10 o'clock at night and be confirmed. What you can do with the system is you can set viewing criteria. So when people are looking to book online, you can customize what criteria that applicants need to fit in terms of financial position, in terms of property position, before the system will allow you to book a viewing in your diary. So if someone doesn't meet that criteria, they get an inquiry form. But if someone does meet that criteria, they are then able to book directly into your calendar. So on a property, let's say we've set our kind of viewing preferences to allow people to book straight into our diary. And we're going to go to what would be called the public page for someone to book a viewing. So if someone's inquired on Rightmove, for example, at 10 o'clock at night, they would receive an automatic email taking them to a page like this, which will be fully branded with an agent's logo and colors, which will allow them to see if they can book a viewing for a particular property. So we're going to take you through this experience from an applicant's perspective. So we click book viewing. We can find out a bit more about this applicant for them entering in their budget. We can get their preferences on how many bedrooms they're after. Minimum, we get their preferred. We can ask them if they have a property to sell. So let's say we do have a property to sell in this case. It's not on the market currently. And would we be interested in a free valuation? Absolutely. I need to sell my home. And we also can put here what our mortgage status is. Are we cash buyers, agreement in principle? So with your viewing preference or booking preferences, if you said, actually, I'm not interested in allowing someone to book in my diary for viewings if they haven't got any mortgage status, they're still looking around or not arranged yet, but I will accept viewings if they've got an agreement in principle or cash buyer, then you can select that. So we're just going to put an agreement in principle in for today. And what it will allow the applicant to do is select a viewing time that works for them. Now, what we're going to see here is dummy data. So it's going to pull through a range of different booking times for this applicant to choose from. Because our dummy data, the diary is empty. If our diary was populated with certain appointments, maybe we already have a viewing for this particular property in our diary on Thursday at 11, then this options of times for the applicant to select will be convenient in and around that property time. So Street's diary is very smart. It knows kind of where you are already, and it tries to optimize when the most convenient times to select viewings for you. So if we say 11:30 for today, we hit confirm. We've now got a confirmed viewing request on this particular property. And it's as easy as that for a customer to be able to book in a viewing on your properties 24/7 without the need for phone calls to happen. Now, to touch back on that, I want to look at what types of communication gets sent out to both parties when a viewing is confirmed, because we did touch on automation and communication transparency. So we're going to jump into Street and we're going to take a look at the preferences that you can set. So for every property that has a viewing that's booked in, if we go back to this example property here for Princess Street, we will see some automated communication on the activity feed down here. So we now have an automatic email that goes to the vendor to say that we've got someone who wishes to view your property. This is the time and date that they want to view it. This particular case, it fell within an instant book slot. So the vendor's already told us that actually between this date and this time, you don't need to ask me for access. You can go in whenever. But if it didn't, it would ask the vendor on this email here just to confirm if they're happy for that viewing to take place. So automatic communication going out to the vendor, but also automatic communication does go out to the applicant themselves, either with an email as a placeholder to say, we've got your viewing request, we'll come back to you to confirm it, or if it does fall within an instant book slot within Street, your viewing has confirmed at this property at this time and at this date. So no need for back and forth with phone calls between vendor and applicant trying to find the most convenient time. It's all automated within Street. As well as that, we wanted to look at kind of the automation notifications that you can have within your Street account. So if we go to our settings and our notification preferences, this is where you as the agent get full control to be able to kind of bespoke what automatic communication you want going out at any circumstance. It's all categorized by viewings, valuations, applications, sales offers, listings, etc. So if we look at the viewings tab, when there's a viewing request that's sent in from an applicant, we can choose to contact the applicant via email or not, if we don't want to send an automatic email out. And the same for the owner, which we can also do via email or SMS, which we're going to come on to a bit later. So there's lots of different preferences that you can choose depending on what happens on your day-to-day of what you want automated going out to your clients, whether that's vendor, applicant, contractors, tenants, etc. Just to try and take away some of that maybe worried feeling when agents hear the word automation, they think everything's going to be taken away from them. It's just to give you that full control over what you want automated and what you still want that personalized touch to have. So we're going to jump back over to our presentation. And we'll move on to our next question here. We've got some questions in the chat here. So I feel like I'm missing something. How does vendors booking in the Street diary tie in with a seller's mind? So this is arranged. So that was all about arranging viewings, Angela. That's all about allowing an easier way for vendors to see what viewings are happening on their property. We're also going to come on to later about how they can see feedback and how they want that communication between agent and vendor to work. Andrew, this will be available as a recording. So if any of you do need to jump off, because I know you're all busy people, this will be recorded and we will send the recording out to you after. So next question we asked on our survey: how did you keep track of your property sale or purchase? And there will be a poll popping up on the screen very shortly as well. So you should all see that. So we've got options of handwritten notes and lists, emails, an online account provided by an estate agent, mobile app, and I didn't keep track of my move. So we've got the majority of you all selecting email communication. Perfect. So we'll flick over to our answer. So you're absolutely right. Majority of you, email was the most common form of tracking purchases or sales, with 63.7% using it. Now, that can't be wholly convenient. Personally, I remember it being super difficult to find out when viewings were booked on my property amongst a sea of other emails that I get kind of day to day. Trying to filter through those, finding them if I've lost an email can be quite difficult. Now, only 18.2% of respondents used the mobile app provided by their estate agent, demonstrating a huge gap in the market of how people potentially would want to be communicated with. And we will come on to our client-facing app and platform a bit more detail later on in today's webinar. Next question we asked our audience: how did you mostly communicate with your agent throughout the process? So there should be another poll coming up. Lots by phone call in already, lots by email. Cool, so we've got majority of you saying email and phone call, with phone call taking the winning spot on that poll. So yeah, you're absolutely right. The two main channels were emails and phone calls, with 69% of respondents using those. It seems like modern forms of communication currently haven't been widely adopted by agents. You know, respondents being able to communicate through apps is 3%, through text message is 2%, and through WhatsApp is 6%. So all of those questions was about their past moving experience. Now, some of those found it frustrating, stressful, inconvenient, lack of options. But the next questions we're going to look at is where it really starts to get interesting, as we get on to kind of what they would prefer for their next time. So we'll flick over to our first question there, which is: how would you prefer to receive updates or communicate with your agent? So we'll see what you all put on that one. How do we all think people would prefer to be communicated with their next agent? So we've got the majority there being WhatsApp. We've got 30% of you saying phone call, 9% email, and 22% on a mobile app so far. So it's really interesting. People didn't want to lose personal communication. Emails and calls were still highly voted. However, when we skip to our next slide, there was a very big increase on other preferences. So it's important to let everyone know that, you know, here at Street, we still understand the importance of that personal service from the agent. And obviously we don't want to take that away from you when you're using our platform. There are some conversation technology that should never be replaced, you know, especially in situations where you're negotiating, discussing offers, maybe valuations and things like that. But convenient communication methods should be considered for other types of updates. And the respondents of the survey seem to agree. So if we compare the previous answers regarding how we're able to communicate with their agents against their communication preferences, modern forms of communication increased on all accounts, as you can see here. So text messages was up by 800% on a preference. Apps were up by 330%, WhatsApp by 233%, and preference for an online account was up by 200%. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have a little bit of a look-see within Street about how SMS and WhatsApp works within Street. We're also going to take a look at our telephony within the system. And we're also going to later on show you what the platform actually looks like within Street as well. So I'm just going to share my screen again for everyone here. Okay. Hopefully everyone can see this again. And we're going to head from street into a particular property. And we'll use the example we used earlier, which was 4 Princess Street. So within pretty much all the pages within Street, whether you're on a property or whether you're looking at a person, what you'll have within the Street system is what we call an activity feed. And this activity feed fits or sits here right in the middle of that page. This activity feed records all outgoing messages from Street to an applicant or a vendor or a contractor. And it records things like emails that have been sent. It records any automatic notifications like when viewings have been booked. It records any text messages that have been sent out for any occasion. And it also allows you to store notes on an activity feed. The great thing with the note system within Street as well is if you've added a note, you are able to pin it to the top if it's really important and you want everyone to always be able to see it. But you can also mention your colleagues or your team if you need to mention them on a particular property. You might need to mention, in this case, Alex, the viewer, to say, when you go out to that property, don't let the cat out or something like that. And then Alex, the viewer, in my office will get an email and a notification within Street to say that someone's mentioned you against a person or a property. That's just a bit about the activity feed itself and the note system. What we can do with the activity feed is we can send emails straight from here. So we can start typing away an email. We can even just pre-populate templates if we want to save some time. So we've got a template for a viewing inquiry. Making use of merge fields as well to save you time. So automatically pulling through people's names, your sign-offs and things like that. And we can choose who we're going to send this to. Are we sending this to the vendor? Are we sending this to the applicant or someone who's not currently associated with this property? And any email notifications or communications that are sent through Street are stored within your activity feed against the property or person. Similarly, you can use text messages as well. So there is a WhatsApp integration within Street if you wanted to use WhatsApp. If not, it will use a basic SMS text functionality. But again, you can just start typing out or using a template. I'm just going to write something basic, and then you can send that, and that will send it directly to the person as a SMS, which is a great and easy way to be able to update people on, if it's a minor update that you need to provide, or maybe someone's running late and they need to just let someone know. You can send text messages straight through Street. As well as email, text messages, and the note system on the activity feed, we also have telephony built in. Now I'm going to find myself here and just kind of give you a bit of a demonstration on how telephony works within Street. So once your telephony is integrated, you're able to make calls directly from Street also. So what we can do now is we can hit a number and we can make a phone call. The great thing about making a phone call from camera is in a moment, my phone is going to start ringing. I've turned all my notifications on my phone, going to, but I've got an incoming call. And if I answer that incoming call and I start to say random spiel, the purpose of this demonstration, hang up that call, I'm now able to make notes. Did I answer it? Call was answered. Spoke to Joe. Lovely chat. And save that note, and that call recording, as well as a transcript, will be time logged, stake stamped, and saved on the activity feed within Street against this particular person. So we can see here, call was made, spoke to Joe. This is one I left earlier. It's not updated yet for the last one. We've got call recording, which we can listen to, which is great for compliant purposes. And we also have the transcripts there as well, so you can see what exactly happened on those calls. So that's a very brief look at how SMS, WhatsApp integrations, and telephony work within Street. Obviously, bear in mind, in terms of SMS and email, a lot of those notifications can be automated rather than sending manual SMSs and emails through those notification preferences that we looked at earlier. So let's flip back to the screen. Andrew has a question. Will it also record incoming replies from outgoing communication? So as it stands, Andrew, it's one-way communication. All replies will go back into either your personal email inbox or your office email. Same with text messages. They come back in email format. Someone replies via text messages. And then Russell has a question there. Can you keep track of communication when out of the office through an app? Not quite at the moment. We're not going to be looking today at the agent app that we have with Street. We are going to be focusing more on the vendor application. But we are still developing our mobile app. So probably very soon, Russ, I would imagine you would be able to keep track of communication through your agent app. Let's bring our presentation back up then. Another question that we asked was, do you think an online account or mobile app where you manage your sale or purchase would be helpful if you were to move in the future? And you should have another poll popping up any moment. There we go. So I'll give some moments for you all to think of your answers. How well is everyone doing anyways? Everyone got everyone right so far? Amazing. We'll flick to over the answers. So our survey said 94% of all respondents said that they would find it useful. And I think that really cements the importance of having a modern app to manage their move these days. I know some agents might be worried about adopting this kind of tech because it might alienate the older demographic. So if we actually solely focus on the responses from people over 55, almost 85% of those said they would still find it helpful. Not to mention you can have this kind of technology in your back pocket, but it's in no way restrictive from them using email or picking up the phone if they would prefer it as well. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to take a look at the vendor platform and a little bit about the mobile app that we can access or provide you and your clients through Street. So let's start with the vendor platform itself. I'm just going to share my screen again. So what does the vendor platform look like? The vendor platform looks like this. So when they inquire with you or when they get added to your Street CRM, they will get an automatic email to set up their Street account. And their Street account can manage various different things. So for this particular Street account that we're going to be looking at, we have someone who was a valuation, who requested a valuation. Within their Street account, they're able to see the property. They're able to get access to their original valuation report. They can see any viewings they've had on their particular property. So you can see here, I've got applicants, when the viewings were, if they've been accepted. We can see feedback on any properties that we've got, on any viewings, sorry. We can also see any offers that have come into our property, whether they've been accepted, rejected, or negotiated. We can also see any questions that keep coming up on viewings on my particular property as well. So there's quite a lot that a vendor can see straight from their app in terms of updates on viewings, feedback, offers, and everything like that. And that's all populated from the Street CRM. We can also see from their account if they are buying a property also, or if they're a sales applicant for you. We can see what it looks like from their point of view in terms of what properties they've viewed. So we've got any upcoming viewings. We can see past viewings that they've completed. The platform prompts them to leave feedback. Now, this gets sent directly to the agent, not the property owner. The agent can then kind of triage that feedback, edit it if they need to, and then choose to send it on to the vendor. And we can see any offers that we've made on particular properties as well, and what the statuses of those offers are. It's very difficult when you're, I know kind of late last year when I was looking to buy a property again, I viewed so many houses and I was kind of merging all the houses that I've seen into one house in my memory. It was really difficult for me to be able to kind of remember what each property looked like, the space, the bedrooms, etc. So to have a platform like this where you can kind of go back and see all the ones that you have viewed and the differences between them is fantastic. And then what we also have in a platform, if you're selling a property or if you're buying a property, you also have a sale tracker in here, which is really interesting. So the sale tracker gives people more visibility about where they are currently at in the process of their sale and what actions they need to take to help speed up that process. So you'll see your sale tracker comes with a progress bar at the top, and if you have overdue tasks that need completing, and it's split from a vendor's perspective into 3 stages. So that's your instruction stage, your pre-exchange stage, and your exchange stage. You can also manage multiple properties you're selling through here as well. So what they get is almost like a checklist. Have they given their identification to a solicitor? They can click on that and they can mark that as complete once they've done that. And what happens is that actually updates the sales progression part of the Street CRM from an agent's perspective, which we can take a quick look at as well. So we've now marked that as complete. Have they received the welcome pack? Has the welcome pack been completed and sent to the solicitor? So what they do is they just tick off the task as and when they've done that, and they move along to the next stages of that. And you'll see their progress bar quickly goes up and up the more tasks that they complete. So it's giving them a little bit more flexibility, a little bit more know-how as to what they need to do to help make things move along quicker. And obviously you will always have your agent's contact details up here if you ever need to get in touch with them. We are adding and fleshing out frequently asked questions as well for vendors and buyers. So if they're a bit unsure about the process, there is a fax part of the system there as well. So that is the online portal or platform for vendors, for buyers as well, renters and landlords. What we're going to take a look at is what the mobile app looks like also from that perspective, from a vendor's perspective. So I'm going to flick now to our mobile. Hopefully you can all see my back screen with some doggos on there. And we're going to jump into the Street app. So I'm just going to type in our login here, and it's going to log us into the vendor app. We get a nice little welcome screen, which gives us a welcome to the app, and it also tells us a bit about what you can do on the app itself. So we can look at viewing organization, we can look at accepting offers and staying up to date with those. We can stay in control in terms of responding to feedback, to questions. And this is what the homepage looks like on the app. Now, again, this app can be branded. So where it says Birchstone can be your logos, it can be your colors. But we can see here that I have a property currently, 16 Devoke Avenue, that is currently sold subject to contract. Within the platform here as a vendor from an app, and bearing in mind we are still building out more and more features with this app, so there's lots more to come. But as it stands at the moment, I can see any notifications, and these are push notifications to your phone when a viewing's been requested on my property, what date and time it was for. I get notifications if viewings have been rearranged or cancelled. Can also see what viewings I have upcoming, and if I'm happy with that viewing to take place, I can accept or decline that from my mobile app. So I'm just going to accept that viewing. We can look at any past viewings we've had, and we can see there that there's feedback given on that particular viewing. So if we click on it, we're able to then see who the applicant was, what their buying position was, and what the applicant feedback was for that particular viewing, which is great to stay in the know-how. We can also see how many viewings have cancelled on us as well. So that's a very quick tour of the vendor app within the system. Hopefully you all enjoyed that, and I'll just quickly jump back to the webinar for any questions that might have popped up. So it looks like we've got a few questions here, so let's see if we can answer those. If an applicant or vendor is dealing with 2 agents using Street, will the comms between both agents merge, or do they have different accounts? My competitor mentioned they may be following us onto Street as clients have given good feedback. That is a really good question. I would assume, because I don't know exactly the answer, but I will find out or get the team to come back to you, Andrew. I believe they would have 2 separate accounts, because each account is going to be branded different for that agent and will be there for different purposes. But I'll come back to you on that. We also have another question. When will you add a bypass for mortgage submitted, etc., for cash buyers so it doesn't look padlocked? Again, don't know the answer to my question myself, but I will get our team to come back to you ASAP. Please can we show the lettings side of the platform, Georgia? I didn't get a lettings account prepped for today. So Georgia, what we can do is we can reach out to you after this and we can show you what a lettings platform look like if you'd like. So just going back to our presentation, that'd be great. No problem, Georgia, at all. We have then the final question. So how likely or unlikely are you to instruct an agent if they offered a mobile app or account to manage your move? So there should be a final poll up for you. Please let us know if you've got all the questions right as well. Might send you a treat. So we've got the majority of people saying 80% of people would be likely to instruct. 62% have now taken the vote. So I think it's a really good question to ask for the final question that we have here. And the answer to that question is actually 80% of respondents said they were either very likely or likely to instruct an agent if they offered those services. And I think personally, it makes complete sense. We have mobile apps to manage a whole host of life activities: banking, booking hotels, holidays, shopping, looking for a car. Yet the biggest financial transaction of a person's life isn't made accessible in the same way. If we refer back to the stat I mentioned earlier, currently only 18% of respondents said that they've used a mobile app provided by an estate agent, which means that the gap in that market is extremely vast. Now, just imagine if you're a street client and you are on evaluation, if you explained, in addition to already great services that you offer, the marketing that you offer, the service that you provide, that we can also give them a choice about how they communicate with us, whether that's through WhatsApp, whether that's through text message, email, phone, and they get an app to have an oversight and manage their entire move 24/7, handing them a brochure like this, which you'll see on the screen ready to download. That is the decision between who to instruct, and that will almost become unquestionable to a vendor. So we are empowering our street agents with a brochure that you can give to your vendors, which will explain all about the additional services street agents go to help you stand out from the competition and appease what vendors these days are actually looking for in an agent service. You should all have a pop-up on the screen very shortly to be able to download that brochure. Laura, we were meant to see a copy of this brochure in the post. If you haven't done already, I will chase it up for you. They should be sent out, but there is a download option on screen. So bear with me and we'll let that pop up. So everyone, if you have enjoyed today's webinar, thank you very much for jumping on. What can we take away from the webinar today? I think what we can take away is that the current way that we communicate with estate agencies, with vendors, isn't exactly fit for their expectations or experience. Communication trends are changing, so we need to change with it. And customers across demographics are crying out for a more digital mobile experience. So we need to adapt to survive, and hopefully we're able to facilitate providing you with that modern technology. Has everyone got a download button on their screen? No download option. I'll just check with my tech team to see if it's there. Bear with me. And then a street vendor brochure share now. Here you go, everyone. You should have it on your screen now to download the street vendor brochure. Apologies, that was my bad. I was supposed to click a button to have that pop up on screen. If you haven't had some sent to your office and you are waiting for some, we've got the chat record, so we'll go through those and we'll get in contact with you all to get those sorted for you. Angela also didn't know you had lettings sorted now. So we're actually fully live with street lettings. So that is property management. We have accounting, mobile app can help with that. And also everything that you've seen in terms of sales, like our booking engine, applicant registrations, is all live with lettings now within Street. Is the download print ready for us to send to printers? If you're a street client, I believe we do send out brochures to your offices for you to use, so we can do that for you, but the brochure itself should be print ready as well. Will we be doing a lettings webinar? Really good question. If a lettings webinar is what's wanted from the audience, we are more than happy to facilitate doing a lettings webinar as well. Angela, yeah, we'll absolutely get someone to call you right away after today's webinar. So if you did like what you've seen today and you want to know more, even if you're a street client or whether you're not a street client, please get in contact with us. We'd love to hear from you, and you'll find our details here on screen now. There will be a pop-up if you'd like to organize a demonstration of street, which you can see on screen just now. So feel free to click that, and you'll be able to book straight in for a chat with us. Whether you're a client or not a client, we'd love to help you and let you know more. Elizabeth, yes, absolutely, we'll get a recording for this webinar. And thank you very much for everyone for the feedback. If lettings is what we're after, then we will look to put together a lettings webinar and run through for you all. Hopefully everyone's enjoyed today's webinar. Feel free to book in a chat. We'd love to hear from you. And I'll leave the screen up and running for a little while so that you can all book in, and hopefully see you all soon. Have a great Wednesday.